Today I'm going to build the best Storm Chasers base camp you've ever seen in LEGO Fortnite. The pre-generated camps that spawn in the game are not that impressive. They're all broken down, there's things laying around everywhere, and it just doesn't look like the camp that we should be using when we're preparing to go fight a Celestial Immortal. In the last video, we did upgrade the Storm Radar, so if you'd like a tutorial on that, go check that out. We also added this fence, which I like, but we're still going to add a lot of detail that'll make it look so much cooler. We also need to come up with a design for these houses, because right now they look pretty boring, but by the end of this video, they are going to look absolutely sick, brah. For step 1, I want to give our fence a much more sturdy look. Like I said, I already did a portion of this in the last episode, but I still think we can do better, so let's see what we can cook up. Also, instead of doing a crazy time lapse, I'm going a little bit slower so you guys can follow along if you want to repeat this in your own worlds. But let me know if you like this style. The time lapses will be back, but not today. Although, I guess this is still a time lapse, but you know what I mean. Gotta sleep. I don't own these lights, so I can't rebuild these, so I gotta make sure not to break them. Pretty sure they're from one of the Star Wars sets, and yeah, I don't have any of the Star Wars stuff. Moving on. We're gonna make this building look absolutely sick later, but for now, we gotta cook up some details for the fence. Most of the pieces that we're using today are gonna be from the Friendly Neighborhood set or the Haunted House set, so if you have those, it'll be helpful, but if not, it's no big deal. I think I'm gonna try and rebuild what was here to some extent, but with different pieces. And I think that just looks a little bit better coming up here. It also looks pretty clean from the outside and gives it that sturdy look that we were looking for. But I still feel like it's missing something. Not really sure what, so we're just going to keep sending it and see what happens. Apparently sending it for me just means adding 2 pieces of gray roof trim, but I kind of think that did it. But I almost want to put that on the bottom, maybe just do a quick little flippy flop. And I think that looks pretty cool. The houses are bothering me because they don't really go, but we'll get to that eventually. And if I didn't mention it, we are using the haunted stairs. If you have the fire escape stairs from the Friendly Neighborhood set, those look good too. Gotta get these 2 right in the middle. I think this is the middle. It's not the middle. I mentioned this in the last video, but what I like about this fence is I feel like it kind of looks like a chain link fence, which kind of fits the vibe I'm going for. Whatever vibe that is, I have no idea. Beautiful day, isn't it? So again, we're going to take our castle railing and just finish up the fence here. A lot of what we're doing today is literally just replacing what was already here, just with different pieces. But the fence is the easy part. We'll get to the houses in a little bit, and those will definitely be a little bit more tricky. One of the things I was the most excited for about the fence was doing the entrance. I have a vague idea on what I want to do. It might be crazy, but I think we can pull it off. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Right now, I'm just trying to decide if I want to build this in gray or black. And I think black will probably look better, but let's see. And you know what? I actually really like that. I think the black looks good. I already like the feel of this place, and we really haven't done too much. Now we're going to use the rough charcoal floor from the Friendly Neighborhood set and put that all the way across the top. I think that looks really cool. And now for the crazy part, which probably isn't that crazy. I might have hyped it up too much, but I do think it'll look cool. I can promise that. I think. I'm using the Tudor half wall here as opposed to the full wall because the half wall is pretty much completely black, whereas the full wall has some lighter brown colors in it. But I'm essentially just trying to give this entrance some depth so we can add a little fence coming down to make it look like it's almost like a mechanical gate. And of course, it's all just going to be for aesthetics. There's probably a way to actually make a gate like this work, but I am completely helpless with anything that comes to function in this game. One day, I will venture into the dark arts of mechanical tomfoolery, but for today, this is going to have to do. And I think it looks really cool. And these lights look so sick at night. Speaking of which... Here we're pretty much doing the exact same thing we did on the other side. It's a very simple design, but I think it makes the gate look pretty cool and very imposing. I really can't get over this gate. This looks so cool. I'm picturing like armored storm vehicles rolling out of here and going into battle. I didn't think there was going to be a part 3 to this, but there might have to be. Again, we're basically just redesigning this entrance, but I want to give it the same vibe that we did to the main entrance. So again, using the half Tudor walls and the floors from the Friendly Neighborhood set to put on the top to give it that black outline. And for the life of me, I cannot figure out how to get this floor to fit. I'm pretty sure I'm just one stud off, and it might just have to stay that way. On top of being one stud off, I can't find a design that I like. I think this is my 3rd or 4th attempt trying to find something. So honestly, however this next attempt turns out, we're just gonna have to stick with it. I hate it. So we're just about wrapping up on the fence, but one thing I did change was the trim on this. I'm now using the Gainsborough thin floor as opposed to, I forget what it was called before. It was something, it was like gray though. It was a darker gray. This one's a little bit lighter. I think this looks better. There are a few spaces where we can't put the roof trim. It seems like we're just one stud off in a couple spots, and I'm trying my best not to care about it. We will just keep moving on. And once we are done with this, we're gonna get into more of the fun stuff and start working on the houses. I am changing up one quick thing about the entrance, and that is replacing the fences with this Gainsborough roof trim. I think that this just looks better. And we are officially done with the fence. I lied. I can't let this go. Entryway design number 5. I still hate it. And the plan for the houses is pretty similar. I like the location that they're in, even like the layout of them for the most part, but I think we can make them look a lot better, use our own pieces, and do it our own way. House number 1, I want to repurpose to be a small garage, but what I'm trying to figure out is what colors I want to use. So for the most part, we're using black and gray in this town, and I thought that that would make it easier trying to figure out what colors we wanted to use for things. But I feel like since there are only 2 options for us to choose from, it's kind of hard to pick between the 2. Like sometimes I use black and it just looks to be too much, which I feel like might be the case with this building, so we might have to switch it back to gray, but I want to see what this looks like first. So I'm going to finish putting this wall in, and I will see you on the other side. First things first, this does not look good. I know that. If the garage door was gray and the walls were black, I feel like that would go a lot better with this. So I'm going to see if I can come up with my own design that's essentially the same thing, but just with the colors in the right place. So this tan wall is temporary. I'm just using that so we can get a thruster in the right place, and then use that thruster to get these Gainsborough floors to turn sideways, which will act as the garage door. So I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to do much interior work today, but I am trying to pick out what floors I want to use for the garage. And this orange nightmarish floor is interesting because it really matches the dirt from the outside. And if cars are driving in and out of the garage all day, I feel like it would make sense that the color would be pretty similar because there would be a lot of dirt in there. But I do like the salty whatever floors. I don't know what they're called. They're from the Salty set though. Salty Seaport, that's what it is. Jeez. So that's what I put down here, and we might change it later on, but this is good for now. And oh my, this really sticks out. I think I might need to change this to gray. Yep, this is better already. And these are the nightmarish walls for anybody who's following along. So now that we have all of the walls swapped in for gray, we're gonna be putting on a very simple roof design using the black floors from the Friendly Neighborhood set. We need to make sure they're flush with the gray wall on either side. Then we're gonna use snap mode and then build one in and one up, and then just repeat that process. And on the other side of the house, I left one of the old roof gables up just so I could see where we needed to build to. For this side of the roof, we're using the same pattern, but once we get to the 6th step, instead of placing the step, we are putting the nightmarish half wall there. Then we're just going to continue that same roof pattern until we get to the middle, then place another nightmarish wall down. and bring it across. And this definitely looks better. So for this next part, we're going to be using every single size of the black floor, and it's essentially just trial and error, trying to leave as little open space on either side as possible. Some of them are going to fit perfectly, and others there will have to be an open spot. We could technically turn the black floor sideways to completely fill it in, but I'm only going to do that where there's 2 studs open as opposed to 1. I think the 1 actually looks pretty good. And I'm going to fill this spot in with the Gainsborough roof and the Gainsborough floor. I'm flipping the roof pieces around here and there just to give it a different texture going down. And I'm only using a couple of the Gainsborough floors just to add a little bit more gray to give it some variation in color. So we'll do this on the other side too, but first we got to fill in the rest of the roof. Alright, and the top of the roof is done, and this is looking really good so far. I want to try and come up with a cooler design for the garage door in a second, but first we got to finish up this side. And I really like this gradient up here. I think this looks super cool. I'm not going to do anything super fancy here, but I feel like we need to add a little bit more detail to it. I don't know if this is super obvious that it's a garage, but I feel like it's good enough. But looking back on it, I guess we could have just used the garage. Oh well. So I left these castle walls here because I wasn't really sure what we were going to do with them, but I think I'll probably just replace it with the fence and then worry about the house after. I also just realized these fences have a corner piece. I've been using just the regular walls the whole time, but I'm excited to get finished up with this fence because I think I have a pretty cool design idea for this house, but I feel like it might just look cool in my head, and when we go to actually try and do it, it might look stupid, but we'll see. So you can probably tell what I'm trying to do here. I'm making this back wall slanted, and I think we're going to do the same with the front. But somehow I'm 1 stud off up here, so I got to try and fix this. And the wall pieces we're using from this are actually from the Halloween Town set. If you don't have this set, you could just build this wall straight up. That would still look pretty cool. So if you look at the original layout for this house, it's where all of the villagers sleep, and it looks like they would be dining here too, because there's a kitchen table on the main floor. So I pretty much want to do the same thing. I want to build this up to be some sort of like a command center where all of the villagers would still sleep, but just make it more of like a modern look. I don't really know what this style is called, but I'm almost picturing like a Marvel Avengers kind of structure, if that makes any sense. But anyways, I've been doing a lot of breaking things and not much building, and that's because I'm not really sure what I want to do with the dimensions. I think I'm going to expand this a few blocks to make it a little bit bigger, and I think I still want to keep that little balcony on the 2nd floor. I think that looks cool. Maybe we can build a little garage here on the side too. We have a problem. How could I have let this happen? So the whole back half of this building is off by 1 stud. So yeah, I gotta tear all that down and rebuild it. I guess it's not that much, so it shouldn't be that bad. But I'll do that off camera. I'll be back with you shortly. Alright, the back half of the house has been rebuilt. Let's carry on. So I'm gonna replace all this flooring with the rough Gainsborough floors. And maybe we'll do something different with the balcony here too. We'll definitely use the rough Gainsborough floors, but I think these pillars could be more interesting. But we'll come back to that. That's more of a detailing thing. What we really need to do is just get the main structure of this house into place and get our dimensions right. So we'll have to move our garage door over 1. And that's backwards. So let's finish walling up our garage here, and then we'll get back to the dimensions on the main house. I wanted to give the front of the house this like angled look too, but the balcony is kind of throwing me off. So I think if we did the angled look on the sides and then the balcony kind of jutted out in between that would look pretty good. And we could use that angled piece for these pillars too. I think that's a cool way to make them look better. And we'll use a couple more walls on the pillars just to make them look more fortified. And I have no idea what we should do for the entrance. If they had like a black door, I think that would look super cool. But the only option are these brown doors from the Spider-Man sets, and I don't know if that really goes. So I'll leave the door for now, but we're probably going to have to come back and do something similar to what we did on the first house where we built that custom garage door. We'll just do the same and build a custom black door. I feel like from the side, you can really start to see the shape of this house coming together. It looks really cool. So we'll use the rough Gainsborough floor as the roof of the garage. And I think it's pretty cool that it's almost like there's the stairs to go up at the entrance and then you can just walk on top of the garage too. So we'll use the Gainsborough roof trim on top of the garage, and then I'll leave a little spot open so we can use the roof of the garage as like a balcony. And I'm putting this black floor piece here almost to make it obvious that this is like an extension of the entrance and can be used as a balcony. But I feel like the black floor piece doesn't look good. I thought it would because the stairs were also black, but I think this looks better. So I'm going to finish getting in some of the outlining to the house, and my inventory's full. So the original layout of this house actually had the staircase on the outside, and I thought that was pretty cool, so I think we will keep it the same. We'll just make it our own, of course. Putting these floors in is such a great feeling. Just don't have to think about where anything's going. Everything has its place. Put one in the wrong spot, no problem. Just break it and do it again. But once we do finish up the floor, we'll get back to finishing up the main structure of the house after we put a railing in over here, of course. Forgot to do that. And I think that looks pretty good. But back to the main structure of the house, we'll take our nightmarish windows just like we did in the back. I think we actually have to break the floor out to put these in. I'm not really sure how we should design this, but I guess we'll just put a door down and see how that looks. And yeah, I don't like these doors. Or I should say I just don't like them for this town. So let's see what else we can come up with. And of course I can't get these floors to fit now. This is infuriating. The tricky part is that the walls that we build on this floor have to be placed directly on top of the walls that we built for the first floor. They can't be placed on top of any floors or they'll be too tall. And it seems like there's just some spots where they're not going to fit. Never mind, it actually does fit perfectly. But I do think I am going to change up the design a little bit. I think the windows kind of look a little weird, so I'm going to change it up and see if I can just put some walls down. I don't think we even necessarily need windows on this building because we want it to look super fortified. And I think this looks good. But let's get rid of these wooden doors and let's see if we can come up with some kind of a design that fits our color scheme better. I am very happy with this. So I guess I'm learning that black is very much like a secondary color in this town. I don't really know what the terminology would be, but it's more of like a trim piece for us. And I think that the haunted roof trim would make for a good outline to this roof. And I have a fun idea for this roof. And in order to do that idea, we need the roof to be completely flat. So I think we'll just put this trim down and then cover the top with the gray floors that we've been using. So I'm going to finish this up and then I will show you my idea for the roof. So I couldn't get the roof trim to fit completely perfectly, but that's okay. And there's probably going to be some spots on the floor that don't fit right either. But that's alright, I'm sure there's a way to make it fit perfectly, but I'm just not going to stress about it. But now for the part I'm most excited for. I mentioned earlier that we could have armored vehicles driving in and out of this place. And then I got to thinking we could make flying vehicles too, so I figured it'd be pretty cool to add a helipad. And we're building it out of pressure plates, which means we can do this. And now I am definitely thinking there is going to be a part 3 to this video where we build vehicles. I'm not 100% sure what else I need to add to make this look like a helipad, but I feel like I should try and make a circle around the H. And that H might as well stand for hideous. Let's try something else. Nope. Maybe we don't put any other floor pieces down, but we just put some green lights. I think that might look cool. Yes, and that looks cool. Unfortunately, the lights don't really show from that far away, but we'll stick with this. I'm super happy with how this town has turned out so far, but we still have one more building. And the last building we're going to be working on is the garage. We already built ourselves a couple other garages, but I want this one to be a garage that can fit multiple vehicles, or even just one really large vehicle, or maybe even a plane. It could be a dual purpose, part hangar, part garage. And again, oh, for crying out loud, I will be back with you momentarily. So the plan for this garage is actually going to be really similar to what we did on the first house. The only difference is that the roof is going to be longer on the back of this house than the front, whereas the first house it was completely even on both sides. But I thought this haunted roof piece might look cool with this little antenna that it has sticking up. It kind of fits the vibe we're going for, but the angle isn't right, so we probably can't use it. What we can use is this haunted house fence. It also has that antenna-ish look to it. And while we're at it, we could even try to make our own custom antennas just by using these 1x1 black fences. I think these look pretty cool. I am getting really distracted here, but that roof piece inspired me and I wanted to do all this before I forgot. But that's enough dilly-dallying. We will get back to the garage. I think it might look good if we make our roofs more of an overhang, so just build one more piece out. And we'll do this on the garage too. I think that looks pretty good. I know I'm a little bit all over the place, but I really had no plan going into this. I'm kind of just building as we go and coming up with new ideas as we see them. So if you're enjoying this, please be sure to like and subscribe. Also consider using code Trillin in the item shop, and let's get back to our build. So a lot of the stuff we're doing on this house is very similar to what we did on the first house. We're just going to replace these walls with the nightmarish walls. We'll fill in the roof in a very similar way too. And I'm not going to completely detail out the garage, so we'll break what's in there for now. But we'll come back to detail more in a future episode if you guys would be interested in that. And I definitely want to come back to this town to build vehicles too. But for now, let's finish up the structure. I'll be back with you soon. This is not the time, Carl. Not the time. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. There we go. Goodness gracious. So we need to relocate all of our beds, and this is where they're going to go eventually, so I'll put them here for now. Again, we'll detail it out in the future, but for now, this will do. And I guess I can't get rid of this little car thing. It actually looks kind of cool. It's like a Tony Stark-esque hologram or something. So I think I'll put a couple more wall pieces on the side. And honestly, I might completely get rid of this awning. I think I have a better idea to make this garage look good. And we're going to use a lot of the same concepts that we've already used, again with these black Tudor walls, framing the garage in this sort of outline. And this is looking good. I think I like this better. Now I do have to fix the sides here. I gotta build them from the top down to build them into the ground because I couldn't get these to fit. Then we'll finish the framing of our garage. And once we are done with this garage, I do have one more idea for a larger structure that will really wrap this town up. But this roof is really repetitive, so I'm gonna speed through the rest of this. We'll finish up the sides, and then we will get to our new structure. So again, very similar to what we did with the first house, we're just going to fill in these sides as best we can, and we're using the Gainsborough roof trim to do it because I think that matches the Nightmare walls the best. And we'll flip some of the pieces around so the texture isn't the same the whole way up. And now with the garage pretty much complete, I want to get one more structure in that we're going to fit in this corner over here. Given that this is supposed to be a storm tracking type of town, I want to add another like satellite or radar type of structure. And I don't know anything about storm tracking technology, so I'm sure this isn't 100% true to life. I'm just trying to add things that look cool and that look like they might fit here, but I'm not really sure about this yet. We definitely need to make it taller. I don't really have a rhyme or reason for how I'm placing these. I'm just trying not to make it completely even the whole way up. Maybe this could be like a wire or something like that. And I think that looks better, but I think we should add some kind of fences around it to make it look a little bit more sturdy. And I think these look good. We'll build these all the way up. So now that the main structure of this is in, I'm just going to add some random fences kind of jutting out in different spots. Again, no idea what these would actually be used for or if this is realistic, but I feel like it looks like it fits, so that's all that matters. And I'm going to add the Tudor walls to all of the corners too to make this look even sturdier. And I think that looks awesome. We'll just add a couple more doohickeys on the top. And I think that tower looks great. I'm super happy with this town overall. This is looking really good. Maybe we'll even add one of those things up here too. Why not? Just when I thought we were done, I forgot we had to add our garage door. So again, we're going to use the same technique that we did on the first garage we built. Turn our rough Gainsborough floor sideways and then use that as the garage door. And once we get rid of this wall, our builds for the day are complete. I'm thinking we're definitely going to come back and build some vehicles here, and we still need to build the interiors and do some detailing, so this definitely won't be our last visit here. And who knows, maybe we'll even bring in a special guest to help out with that. But that's going to do it for me today. Appreciate y'all so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please be sure to subscribe. I'm having a hard time finding the right angle for the cinematic outro. There we go. See you in the next one.